Welcome back to Courtotberfest Weekly. I'm John Courtot. So the next, I would say 4 to 5 weeks, the video element of this is going to be a little bit rough around the edges. It is the holidays, and there'll be a ton to do. So I'm not going to have access to my film equipment, not going to have access to an editing software. But I do have access to my laptop and my mic, so we're going to do our best with that. We've got a couple items on my agenda today that I've got lined up, and I want to start with a conversation on running time. I was seriously thinking about going to see the Avatar sequel tomorrow, and so I pulled open my AMC A-List app. Now that I'm living near an AMC, I was really excited to, get back on the subscription and try to see one movie a week. And that's happened less often than I assumed that it would. And running time is a huge part of it. So I pull open my AMC A-List app and to look at the times for Avatar. And I get there, and lo and behold, what do I see? The running time of The Way of Water is 3 hours and 12 minutes. Let me say that again. This movie is 3 hours and 12 minutes long. That's insane. That is a crazy runtime, and I can't do it. There's too much to do. I'm an adult human being, and that just sucks up your entire day. I mean, when you go to a theater, you've got the runtime of the film, which 3 hours and 12 minutes. I can't get over that. You've got like 15 to 20 minutes of trailers, so that's pushing toward the 4-hour benchmark. Then you add in the time of getting there. You add in the time of getting back home. You're probably throwing in either lunch or dinner going out. And that's your entire day. That is your entire day for one movie. And it's just too damn long, and that's not just an Avatar thing. We have an epidemic of movies that are just too damn long. And the last month or so, there's a ton of movies that I thought about, got to the end of the day, thought about, maybe I'll go see this, and I pull it open, and it's 2.5 hours. When Glass Onion was in theaters, for that little bit of time, thought about going to that. Well over 2 hours. Tar, 2 hours and 40 minutes. Wakanda Forever, 2 hours and 40 minutes. It's just too much time. It's too much time. I mean, we've got lives to live. And as much as I love movies, I don't really want to be... Unless you really have the content. Like Lord of the Rings had the content. They had books this thick. And it was 3 hours cutting a lot of stuff out. So there are times when it's fine. Most of the time, it's not fine. Most of the time, it's overindulgence. And if anybody out there who makes movies somehow hears this, please get the message. Dial it in. Dial it in. 90 minutes to 2 hours is the perfect amount of time. And honest to God, when I see a movie is like an hour and 45 minutes, it's just a delightful thing to see. So let's make movies shorter again, because it's just, again, it's rare that I see a 2.5 to 3 hour movie that warrants that runtime. There's always something you can trim out. You can get it less than 2.5 hours. And the film I saw, this is leading into my next review that we're about to go into. We had two films that are dramas revolving around movies and filmmaking. You had The Fabelmans from Spielberg and Empire of Light from Sam Mendes. The Fabelmans is like 2.5 hours, and I'll get to it eventually because it's a Spielberg movie, and I will never miss a Spielberg movie. The guy is an idol. But Empire of Light was an hour and 50 minutes long, an hour and 54 if I'm being precise. So I went with Empire of Light, which will lead into my review. And Empire of Light is, oh boy, there is plenty of things to like about it, and I did not like it. And you'll understand why momentarily, but there are good things about it. Firstly, Empire of Light. It's the main premise is you've got a sort of middle-aged woman coping with mental illness who falls for a younger man, and it's a very charming's not exactly the right word, but it's a good emotional basis for a story, and I really liked that framework, and the acting is phenomenal. You've got a great performance from Olivia Colman. Toby Jones is in it. He's always great. Let me look up this the younger actor's name, because he was also very good, and he had a great. He and Olivia Colman had great chemistry. This was Michael Ward. Michael Ward, very good acting. And I'm also practicing on getting this recorded in one sitting because gosh darn it, I'm not going to have access to editing for the next couple of weeks. But in case I said Empire of Dreams, I meant Empire of Light. It's the Empire of Light is in the movie, just covering my butt there. But great performances from the actors. There's a particular scene in it that I really like between Michael Ward and Toby Jones. Toby Jones is the projectionist at this theater, and he sort of gives him the rundown of what celluloid film is, and sort of finds meaning in it. And it's a really nice moment. And the relationship between the two leads is great. Other thing about it, it's shot by Roger Deakins. Roger Deakins is a god among men when it comes to cinematography. I need all of his work in my eyes. He just has the greatest eye of any cinematographer that I know of. I will see if a movie is shot by Deakins, I will see it for that. So you've got good basic framework, you've got good performances out of your cast, and this is where remember this from Game of Thrones, where I think it was Tyrion said anything that comes after the word. No, it was actually it was Jon Snow. He's Jon Snow, season one. Season 1, he's talking to Tyrion, and whatever my father always used to say, anything that comes after the word but doesn't count. So here's the but. It's such it's ideologically it's for liberals. Like if you're liberal, you will really like this movie. I would recommend it for you. If you're conservative, it's going to piss you off to no end, because basically the message is conservatives are all racist. It's a movie that, and I think that one of the reasons this irritates the crap out of me is that it's not incorporated into the plot in any meaningful way. It's just their younger actor is black, and we need to say that everything is racist. That's basically what it's saying. Everything is racist, and it's never going to get better, which is a little depressing. And the fact that they name drop Margaret Thatcher in regards to racism and white supremacy. Margaret Thatcher is a pretty standard, it's your normal conservative is about Margaret Thatcher and her sort of stand against socialism. So, and racism is not a part of that. So when they drop her name, it's basically saying all conservatives are racists. Which last time I checked, I was not a racist. And Hollywood has been doing this for a long time. It has been for decades on end. Time immemorial, Democrats have been accusing Republicans of being racist, and it gets to you. I'm not going to lie, it really gets to you, because in Western society, I think it's a good thing that we've gotten here, The label racist is something we as a society don't want to be called. We all understand that it's bad. And when you've got one side of the aisle with the power of Hollywood accusing an entire other side of the aisle just in a blanket fashion of racism, it gets to you. When you know in your heart that you are not this bad thing, when you're constantly accused of it, it gets old, and it really gets to you. And I damn near walked out of the theater when it got to the point of just like when it got to making that point, it's like, why am I here? You clearly think this movie clearly thinks I'm trash. Why am I spending my time on it? And it's like one of those, I have to ask your normal, like, if you're a normal Democrat, I guarantee you have conservative friends. You probably have a conservative relative somewhere. Do you really think that of them? That's a thing. I think you really, if you're a Democrat, you have to, in your heart of hearts, there is someone you care about in your life that is conservative, that holds traditional values. Do you really think that of them? We know Hollywood thinks that of them. That's why this stuff keeps happening in movies, because Hollywood is a bubble. I'm talking, to your normal Democrat on the ground. Do you think, the conservative in your life that you love and care about, do you really think that they're this garbage thing? That is a question that's a I cannot answer that for you. I cannot answer that for you. You need to, I think really, that's a thing you need to really think about. Because if conservatives seem angry right now, it's because, and this, again, all predate, you can go back to Reagan. And I should mention a point that I should mention, a little plot point. This Empire of Light does take place in the 80s, hence the Margaret Thatcher name drop. But it goes all the way back, to Gerald Ford tripped once, and they were making fun of him on SNL forever for it. And dude was an athlete. And so we've been taking it in the teeth for a long time. And after a while, yeah, it gets to you. You start to resent it. So to Democrats, I would recommend them to you. Really think about find the person in your life that you care about that's conservative, and really ask the question: do you actually think this? Because if you actually think this person is a racist, why are you friends with them? Which goes to show me you don't actually believe that. So can we please stop with this narrative? Can we please stop? And to Republicans, when you see plots like this in film, at this point, I don't know that there's a point. I don't want to give up on convincing good-hearted liberal people. You really need to know who, you need to sort of ask the question of yourself, is this person convincible? And if the answer is no, you just got to know in your heart that you're not these bad things that they say about you. And I had a good friend back in the day who always used to say, this was like going back to high school, and he was wise behind his ears. Sometimes you just have to smile and nod and do whatever the hell you were going to do anyway. And that's maybe, I think, good advice at this point. If you're talking to somebody that you definitely can't convince, smile and nod, and then do whatever the hell you are going to do anyway, and know in your heart that they're wrong about you. So, Empire of Light, do I recommend it? There is a lot to like about it. I think, again, if you are liberal, you will probably like it. Because, the question you got to ask yourself is, do you really agree with the message that it's just vomiting out there? If you're conservative, I would skip it. It's just going to piss you off. I don't recommend this for conservatives. But again, it's got it's ruining a good thing. excellent premise, and it really does dive into sort of mental illness in some sort of really good ways, and the performances are great. And again, visually phenomenal, but I just I don't go to the movies to be berated. I go to sort of get away from it all. And that's another thing that this movie makes a big point about movies as escapism. It makes the point that movies are there so that you can escape from the world, while it proceeds to not allow you to escape from the world. So yeah, I recommend it for some. Most, I would say, skip it. There are better uses of your time than this movie, and it's a disappointment because I like Sam Mendes is great. I love Skyfall. 1917 was great, but this is not one of his better entries. It's a very woke Oscar baity type thing. So you can find other movies to go see. Ultimately, it is a not recommend. All right, so the next thing on my list here is a lot in the news about DC Comics lately. James Gunn, of course, is Warner Brothers has brought in to head up DC, and basically they are wiping the slate clean in regards to their films. Cavill is out, Wonder Woman 3 is canceled, and there's a lot to be bummed about. I was really looking forward to Henry Cavill getting to actually be the hopeful, optimistic Superman. But I also am a little bit, at the same time, optimistic, because I think this is the first time DC has had, in terms of a DC universe, that they've had a focused voice. With sort of James Gunn at the helm, you've got a clear decision maker and someone who's setting up a vision for where DC Comics is going to go. And I don't think DC has had that yet. It does suck for the movies that are about to come out. It really sucks for Black Adam, which just Black Adam just dropped, and that was setting up stuff for the future that's now gone. The Flash is coming out. That's not gonna, anything that's trying to set up won't happen. Anything Aquaman is trying to set up is not going to happen. But I want to see where this goes. I think we're going into an era where DC is going to get ready to clock Marvel in the face if James Gunn plays his cards right. And I have faith in James Gunn to do a good job. James Gunn has an edge, but he also very much understands character and gives his pieces heart. I was really convinced I was going to hate Peacemaker, because Peacemaker definitely, it has woke flavoring, but Gunn is good enough at character that he really imbues all of the characters with a likability, and you understand where they're coming from. And he really made that show work, and I'm excited to see where he takes it. And the one thing I'd say, I don't know what their plans are for Wonder Woman, holding on to Gal Gadot would be a good idea, because she is flawless. She's basically what Hugh Jackman is for Wolverine, Gal Gadot is for Wonder Woman. That'll be a really, really difficult part to recast. And I would love to get to see her play that part again in a movie that's good, because Wonder Woman 1984 was absolute trash. So maybe they'll hold on to her. They held on to Judi Dench as M from classic Bond to the stupid Daniel Craig era. I will do a video at some point on my feelings on Daniel Craig as James Bond. James Bond is my favorite franchise, and that has been a roller coaster of quality. He has 2 great films that he made, surrounded by a combination of garbage and mediocrity. But that's for another video. In any case, I would say I would be optimistic. I'm optimistic, cautiously optimistic about DC Comics going forward. A reset button is not necessarily a bad thing. All right, so moving on. Moving on. Been watching some older movies this week that I haven't seen. There's a lot of movies I've missed. If you're a film student, I think a lot of your family friends, they assume you've seen every movie on the planet, and it's just not true. There's a lot I've missed, and Sylvester Stallone has been doing the rounds for his show Tulsa King, which I have not gotten to yet. That's going to be a Christmas week thing. I'm going to start digging into that because I love me some Stallone. And Yellowstone's been a great experience over the last. I finally got into that show over the last couple of months, and it's awesome. But there was this old movie I hadn't seen with Stallone called Copland, and it is a great movie. It's really good, and sort of continues on when we were talking about Indiana Jones 5 last week. It's an early James Mangold film, which I didn't know. But this cast is bonkers. You got Sylvester Stallone, Ray Liotta, Harvey Keitel, Edie Falco's in it for a little bit, Janine Garofalo, Robert Patrick is in it, Michael Rappaport. And it's just a really solid crime drama from 1997 dealing with corrupt cops. And apparently it didn't do all that well at the time, but it's a solid piece of filmmaking. And one of the things I love about 90s films is we weren't so in on the computers. The computer CGI technology was still relatively new. They were still really maybe a little bit afraid of it. And they were focused in on story. You weren't bogged down with computers, and it's just Copland is a really great movie about corrupt cops and what it takes to be a good cop, and that's Stallone is that good cop that's up against this town of bad cops, and it's got a lot of depth in it, and again, great performances. And Liotta was a great actor who really we lost too soon. It's very sad that he's no longer with us, and he delivers an amazing performance. It's also really weird, I will say, that Stallone is I think this was on purpose, because he's sort of a veteran. He's a little out of shape in the film. Again, I would assume purposefully. It's a little weird to see Stallone kind of out of shape because we're really used to seeing ripped, in shape Stallone. But Copland gets a highly recommend if you're looking for an older crime drama that you haven't seen. Highly recommend that one. Another 90s film that I had not seen. Big fan of the first film, Hunt for Red October, is Patriot Games. The follow-up to Hunt for Red October, that sees Jack Ryan replaced. Alec Baldwin is replaced by Harrison Ford. And I did not love this movie. I didn't love it. The Hunt for Red October is a thrill ride. It's a great movie. McTiernan's a great director. Patriot Games is weak tea. And it's rare that I have criticisms of Harrison Ford, but he just doesn't, for me, he doesn't fit the character of Jack Ryan. Now full disclosure, I have not read the books, but at this juncture in history, the character of Jack Ryan is baked into the culture enough that we're all kind of sort of aware who the character is. And the big thing is just like, I'm an analyst. And it's almost like Harrison Ford is too much man for this part. There's certain, what Alec Baldwin brought to Jack Ryan was a certain dweebiness. There's sort of your CIA mainstays and the military, and there's sort of a rigidity to them, and Jack Ryan is sort of an oddball, and Alec Baldwin had that sort of oddball quality to him that sort of when he comes on some of these brilliant ideas, and I'm convinced of X, Y, and Z, they kind of think he's crazy, but there's a certain method to the crazy, and Alec Baldwin brought that, and I don't think Harrison Ford brings that. I'll be interested to see if Clear and Present Danger, which I also have not seen, brings I'll be interested to see if maybe he brings it a little bit more, but I was not convinced by him in the part. And you can also tell that it does not have the hand of John McTiernan behind it. McTiernan, great action director, Die Hard, Predator, and of course Hunt for Red October is one of the greatest submarine films of all time. So I if you're OCD about getting all of in a similar way to I am, where you want to see all of the entries of a franchise, you could watch Patriot Games. Otherwise, I'd skip it. I didn't. I thought it was kind of dull. It did have some good scenes with Sean Bean is the best part of it, best part of the film. But otherwise, I was not a fan. The other thing that I watched that I need to finish it tonight. It got a little late and I had to go to bed. I was a spur of the moment impulse buy at Best Buy is Ip Man with Donnie Yen, which I had not seen, and so far that is a good movie. Like that is, I'm going to bring this one with me to Christmas and see if I can get my family to watch it with me, because it's a great movie. Great character piece. The kung fu action is awesome. Donnie Yen has great screen presence, and it's nice to see a film where about a man who cares about his family and his community. Which again stupid that feels like a novelty now. This is an older movie, 2008, but great kung fu action. Definitely worth your time to check out. So look up Ip Man. All right, so before we wrap today, sort of rounding it out here, I just had a quick follow-up to last week's episode. A friend of mine listened to our first Courtotberfest episode and sort of filled me in a little bit more on, I guess, why fans are upset with the sort of Chris Pratt Super Mario issue. And I guess what I was told is that the original voice actor for Mario is still alive and actively voice acting. So basically it's a demand to get the original guy. And I do understand that. I do understand that desire as a fan to want that. And if I was a producer, out of respect for the original actor, I might bring him in to maybe try read some dialogue, read some from the script with some more emotive lines to see if he could bring it. But I also I can't shake in my head that what they were doing with the video games is more catchphrases, and you need a movie being a separate thing and reading lines, that you need somebody who can do the emotive lines. But for all I know, that this voice actor could actually do that. So probably as a producer, you should bring the guy in, include him in some way to as out of respect for the guy who originated the character. In a similar way to if you saw the Uncharted movie, Nolan North got a cameo in that film. So you do want ultimately what you have to, when you're dealing with a legacy property, you want to have respect for what came before. And if previous voice actors or on-screen actors are still around, it's a nice idea to get them involved in some capacity out of respect for the paths that they paved to make the property what it is. So I do get where the fans are coming from on that. I also want to give Chris Pratt a chance because I like Chris Pratt. But again, we'll see how that comes out. I'm very much looking forward to that movie. All right, so we're going to wrap up. I am planning on doing more episodes in the next couple of weeks over the holidays. I want to do a Christmas Story Christmas review and maybe do a top 5 Christmas movies that I can't live without piece. So stay tuned in the next couple of weeks for some more to to see what I watch in the next couple of weeks. You got a little taste of what I watched this week. We'll get a little bit more of a taste of what I check out next week. So have a good weekend, and I will see you next time.